You jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she-call. You jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she-call. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.
Welcome to the weekend. I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute. The best time of the year. The session is over. The legislators have left the building. To talk about it from Westword, Patty Calhoun, good to have you here.
A pleasure to be here.
It's always safe time, and now you're out of the building for a while too. Help, out of hell. Lynn Bartels from the Denver Post. How goes that, by the way?
It's been. I told Dick Wadhams, imagine you went to sleep on a Friday night and woke up Monday head of the Colorado Democratic Party. It's still politics, but it's a whole different world. But they've been great to me, and I'm still here to talk about the legislature.
Have they been nice to you? That's all. Have they treated you well over there?
Yes, they have.
Do I need to go scold them?
And make it stop?
Make it stop.
Yeah, I know.
You be nice to our little Linny. She's new in town. Has it been okay?
Yeah.
Does it make a difference actually just having one big paper covering the legislature as opposed to two?
It does.
They can get away with more.
Yeah, and you also, I think the sad thing is there's not that sense of urgency. Maybe in a way it's a good thing because you're not going, let's rush that into the paper. The Post is going to get it. You know,
it's rush it online. What was it you got? Remember the Rocky got a story on like 3 minutes before the Post did online? That was I missed that. Yeah. Well, I missed the Rocky.
We all do.
We all do. All right, let's talk about the session. Was it fun?
They're all fun.
They're all fun.
They're all fun, but in very different ways.
Doug Bruce wasn't here. How could it be fun?
Well, Mark Waller, his replacement, is fabulous, and he's a gentleman to boot, and he's a lot of fun.
Are you implying something?
No. I'm saying it was probably easier on the staff that Douglas Bruce was not there, and on his fellow Republicans, quite frankly.
And when you think about it with coverage, Doug Bruce would grab so many headlines last year, people wouldn't be paying as much attention.
I will tell you, Doug Bruce was there in spirit because a number of ballot measures were filed, the financial kind of ballot measures, and even though they had other people's names on them, they all read like they were written by Douglas Bruce, and those people all had connections with Douglas Bruce, so he's alive.
We'll be seeing the ghost of him come November.
That's right.
All right, let's talk gossip first, because that's much more fun. We got lots of people, good folks are leaving, and a lot of them are just going. Are there a record number of legislators who are up and running? We got,
I think
I'm trying to remember all of them.
I checked, but I couldn't remember.
Jennifer Vega's going?
Australia.
Going to Australia.
Isn't that sound awesome? Everybody's jealous. This new great adventure. I mean, she's not going because she got a job down the street with a bigger, better insurance company. How about this?
If you don't live in Colorado, all the laws that you passed go away. I think that's fair.
Well, that's Sunday liquor sales, buddy.
We want that. Yeah, Sunday liquor sales. We're keeping those.
All right, you know, that's hers.
That was hers.
Okay.
Yay,
all
liquor
right,
sales.
Read it and weep. Peter Groff going to the Obama administration.
That's a shame. That's a hit for us.
It's interesting because the Republicans, I think, are more upset than the Democrats.
I think a lot of Republicans liked him. I liked him because he was willing to take on the CEA on a lot of educational choice issues, given what he did, and he was good at that. And I think he would make more of an impact here in Colorado than being some minion down the ladder in the administration.
Before. Yeah, that's true. But he came from DU where he'd done a lot of this work before. I think with the faith-based, what can happen with education? I think it's so much his calling that if they actually listen to him in Washington, D.C.,
yeah,
I think it's possible. I think given the Department of Education seems to have more hope on that than anything else right now, but it is a shame to lose him here because he's been so statesman-like. It's been great.
And to every person who said to me, why would he give up the Senate presidency? And I go,
30 grand a year.
Well, he gets a little bit more. He's in leadership, but at a time when you spend your whole time worrying about $1 billion shortfall, I don't know. I think I'd rather go to D.C. and worry about failing kids. That might be easier.
Right. I mean, the surprise is that more people aren't leaving because just what kind of psychic damage it takes to try to figure out how you're going to balance that budget, how you're going to find the cuts. I mean, that's exhausting. No matter how you feel about the different policies, it's not much fun to just go whack. Well, for you probably.
Oh, I love it.
But for other people to just keep whacking at programs every day.
It's so different for me because I always tell people, you always go by your first, my first session, which always makes your big impression, which was 2000. Finance Committee went on for hours. They had $1 billion surplus. They couldn't figure out what to do. Should we give no taxes on restaurant meals, no taxes on this, what rich person can we give a big tax break to? You know, that was the whole thing. It was all about surplus.
Right, and now
it
it's
was
like
guns and money. Remember,
let's take money away from the seniors, including the governor's mother. Let's. I mean,
a lot of these things have come home to roost. So you've got Amendment 23. Which has come home to roost. You've got Referendum C, which if that failed, we wouldn't have lifted up the spending caps, and we would have been back much lower, and we would have dealt with these heartaches a couple years ago instead of doing it now. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the cuts. And this year we had a whole bunch of fee increases. How many more fees can we have? Let's see. So car registration taxes were called fees. The tolls are now called fees. The mill levy increase stands, the one that I challenged stands. And what was the other one? Oh, the hospital fees, $600 million a year for the Health Care Affordability Act. We're talking about $1 billion more in fees.
But let's talk about fees. How about the $2.50 fee?
Felon fee.
The felon fee, so that we can test your DNA upon arrest. Now, Republicans overwhelmingly voted for that bill. A fee's only a bad thing if you don't like what it stands for. I mean, that bill was really supported by the Republicans, the DNA testing bill, so they could swallow their fee and vote for it. But if it's for something where you're going to stand united against Ritter and make the Democrats look bad, then it's a bad fee and we're doing terrible things. Look at the whole property tax. They rolled back, right? The senior property tax, I'm sorry, the senior exemption, right? Oh my God, the Republicans sent out these press releases. They're doing terrible things to the seniors. The Republican-controlled legislature with a Republican governor did the exact same thing 3 years ago in order to save the budget. They did it for 3 straight years. This bill's for a year. Probably end up being extended. So fees are in the eyes of the beholder, Mr. Caldara.
But these are some larger fees. When you're talking about the car registration fee going up to, what, $30, depending on the weight of your car, maybe $50 a year, that's a sizable fee. The hospital increase, that's 5% more on hospital stays. That's a huge increase. You're talking about from marriage licenses to go into court. This was the year of fees. They knew that if they called it a tax, it'd have to go to the ballot. I think probably the most unpopular one was the car registrations.
It was, but, and Patty, chime in here at any time, at what point is this state going to do something to raise money for roads? I mean, T-Rex, didn't you oppose T-Rex? Did you oppose T-Rex?
No, I didn't oppose T-Rex.
Okay. Well, you were nasty about it. Oh, it's perfect they gave it a name for a dinosaur, because that's what it is.
I wasn't happy about it. I didn't oppose it.
That was financed, as I understand it, with future highway tax receipts. Right. So what you're doing is just kind of mortgaging the future, and then what happens when that gets smaller and smaller? They never came up with the funding source to replace it. They bragged about it, but meanwhile they choked off all the other roads. At some point, you know, my theory was don't raise it. Let people drive on potholes and then let them finally wake up.
Well, here's what's really, I mean, and this was the easier year compared to probably what's coming down the pike next year.
Oh, next year is brutal.
And so
why is it going to be worse next year?
Well, we got the next budget alignment, on June 20th.
Because the revenues are still falling.
You've done the easy cuts, and not that any of those cuts are easy. You've done the easy fees, not that any of those meet with your approval. So next year is going to be really, really tough. And you still have Amendment 23. You still have all the different things that don't reconcile in the budgeting process.
Who hired, what, 1,300 more employees just before the economy took a turn.
Are you certain about that?
Yeah.
Are you sure those were all Ritter hires?
When you take a look, I just saw the graph.
Are they state employee hires?
State employee hires.
Okay, this is what, it's kind of that urban, some of these are, remember when the Ref C money came in, the universities were able to go back and start hiring. These hires are independent of Ritter and the governor's office. I think the CSU hires were done by a guy named Hank Brown, Republican. You might have heard of him.
CU.
Right, I'm sorry, CU. But you see what I'm saying? So you have to really separate out those carefully. And the corrections went up, but I think there was some lawsuit or something in there. The rest you can look at as legitimate hires, but that's a little bit of an urban myth there.
When I took a look at the graph just yesterday of state employees, and over the last 3 years, it has gone spiking upwards.
So, I'm just saying, how many are university employees?
But the university employees fall in that.
They fall in that category. Agreed.